game. But enough talk on what could happen. Where could the circles go? Now we're going to go ahead and find out. Moving into our third match. Very, very pleasant playing path coming through here. So finally, everybody should be able to sigh a breath of relief.
Yeah, and I mean, such a nicer circle or flight path that's really going to put everything into play. And being farther up north, hopefully that first circle should pop relatively center. The zone is always going to touch the flight path, which is why when we see those flight paths go very far south, we anticipate those military, those Milta, those ferry pier circles that are going to hold true. As we can now see, finally, Radiance, Dodge are going to have the ability to drop and go north. We see them heading towards Kamishki and Yasnaya. These are cities that have not been looted at all today.
Kamishki? Okay.
Okay, no, we're falling short. Not.
I was going to say, we've heard the joke sometimes that's like referred to as kamikaze. You go up there, you know you're going to die. It is a last resort position to play, but looks like instead they're just going to go ahead and play a little bit further towards the north. No surprise, our tail end drops are going to be livid and shoot to kill, making that push back over towards Georgepool. We do have a little bit of congestion going back over towards that western bridge as Comets and Exodus both look like they might be stretching out. Comets really likes to play along ferry pier. You can see the split already coming through, Sub-Zero getting inside of a vehicle, but Exodus has been opting back down towards military base pretty common, and we know that that can be one of their de facto drops. Kind of surprised that we're seeing him go for it. First circle pops though, and it looks like it's not too terrible. That's what we did. We finally cast or cursed it properly.
Yeah, I mean, there we go. Look, called Zarky, we got it on the east. So, but it's also, you guys will notice, nobody dropped military circle. I think everybody's had their fair share of looting over there, and that is going to make these rotations a little bit more interesting. But again, with that hard push to the east, that means that these teams that have gone up further west are going to have a little bit less time to loot. You don't want to be that last team coming in on that rotation, meaning that they've got to start time managing really well here.
I love to see shoot to kill and immediately drop, grab a vehicle. That's a lot of times when you see these clusters of players all right next to each other, whenever we're watching the map, especially while people are still up in the air, it's always going for vehicles early. You want to make sure that you have that as a resource. Sure, people are always talking about like, hey, make sure you get your guns, get your 4X, your 2X, whatever you prefer, even if you're one of those people that plays 3X, because I know a lot of people like that. But oftentimes, whenever you're playing, we see a lot of players forget to secure vehicles very early, and that comes back to bite them whenever they have to make these very long rotations.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about a little bit as well last game too, is something that esports really utilizes that I think the general population of PUBG takes for granted is vehicles, because it is those vehicle rotations through the first half of the game. We see teams take a vehicle, scout, get out, take a look, continue to move on, take another vehicle, continue out there. As we see now a 2-2 split there from Exodus as they pick up 2 UASs. Those are very essential tools. It's not just about weapons and armor in PUBG, but it's about the all utility, and that's going to include these vehicles. It's going to make it easier to crash compounds. It's going to make it easier to get away from a fight, and also make you get quicker into that next zone. So for those of you guys who are interested in playing ranked, maybe improving your competitive PUBG game, take a lot of time to learn how to use vehicles properly. That is really going to, I think, make or break your ability to be successful in competitive play.
And also commit to the plan. You can see Exodus, they grab their vehicles, they're like, we loot military base. So they're going to make the run back over here. They don't care that the circle's here, not here. They're just going to grab their vehicles and make their way back over towards the north. Remember that we do see that area just south of Yasnaya is going to be our surprise point. But really not a lot of teams going to have to do major rotations unless they chose to make them. I like this. Rotate out. Hey, I want something a little bit safer and also with more gas. So switch over to a new vehicle, continue on with your path and figure out where you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Exodus as well has this all to themselves. Nobody dropped to start onto military, and so that's going to give them an extra time to loot. Not too hard to rotate into the zone. Right now in second place with a total of 23 points. Much of that is from kills, but you're not going to be able to do the kills without getting that gear, but oof. Meanwhile, speaking of crashes, we talked about committing and where vehicles come to play. We can see it set up really well here as Clueless taking the push onto Wildcard.
Nice push
looks like
up.
Keenan stuck up on the roof.
Try to get a little bit of utility up there, and Clueless just making a mad dash push. No fear coming out. They already know exactly where he is. They had a read on what was going to go on there. Quick flush to come out, and Clueless just walks in with thunder and gusto and says, no, this is our complex.
Yeah, I mean, Clueless, not had, I want to say, a bad day to start, but they have started a little bit weaker. And starting right now, 5 minutes in, 3 kills. That's a good way to end out your Erangel for the day before going into Miramar. You want to get some of that momentum built early on so that you can carry on through. I mean, you can have a bad game or bad few games in PUBG. And that's not going to be the end of it. You just, like Poro said earlier in the day, don't want to have to play catch-up. So the earlier that you can start taking those aggressive rotations and getting those kills, it's going to be the better for some of these squads that are a little bit lower down the leaderboard right now.
Always about consistency. Can you get to those top couple of spots, net a couple of kills, and try to consistently fall in at least the top 8, preferably towards the top 5? As Klugeless has gotten their complex, it looks like they were just wanting the kills there. It might even be just driving around seeing if anybody's going to shoot at them. Meanwhile, Yasnaya getting a little bit more populated as we do have Fabled back over towards the east of it. To their west, playing the southern part of Yasnaya, is going to be Dodge, trying to look over those, I guess, hay bale fields, whatever you want to call them out over there, as that's where the remnants of Wildcard, who you saw take a couple of casualties making their rotation, now kind of trapped out there as Dodge are taking the pot shots at, I believe, well, it might be the last member, is Honey Badger.
Yeah, and this is a really, I think, probably one of the strongest places that you can hold on a circle that's leaning east with Yasnaya into play. This is going to make it easy to rotate out of the circle, not get caught off guard, catch teams as they try and push north, catch them as they try and go around Yasnaya. Sometimes you might see teams that have landed on the east coast, and they're going to make that push in that direction. As we can see right now, following along with the Comets, who are working on their rotation right now as well.
No inherent rush coming out of the Comets as of this point. They are probably aware that they're going to be a little bit more towards the tail end, so being a little bit safer, do a little bit of scouting, drive forward, look through, especially around this road. We see very often traps, different things can be sprung from this point. They are very safe inside the circle. They're just trying to continue their push in, as by God, look, everybody wants a piece of the center of this circle. Nobody wants to be on the outliers. And a lot of that has to do with a lot of the flatlands and the good vision that you were talking about just a second ago that Yasnaya provides. Comes Victor does spot out and approaching 303. That's a quick down onto Lush. Should be able to flush him out, as I think the rest of 303 is now trying to move off onto a different angle. And yeah, I don't think that they want a piece of it. Well, no, playing a little bit more aggressive, but a couple more shots should scare them away.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a player that's that far stretched out, there's really nothing you can do at this point. You might try and kind of get an eye on here, maybe do some damage, retaliate here. We're seeing coming from Landoon right now towards the Comets, but this is not going to be an aggressive play by 303 to take out players and get revenge. I think we're so just trying to keep them at bay a little bit while they finish out their rotation as we continue to see him hang back while the rest of 303 moves on to that next spot for the zone. We've got a minute left until Phase 1 winds down, and right now I think they're thinking about where they want to be for start of Phase 2. As Elusive also very close by, we can see in that compound, but oh, now here comes the rotation for Livid, who's a little late, but finally coming into the zone.
It's really Livid and Exodus, the only people that are not inside the safe zone as of yet. Livid is going to be the second to last, as they're just making this. I mean, they're moving pretty quick, but they're in no inherent rush. And that leads into the two different options on how we see this. Rotate early, try to get position. Rotate late, stack up with loot, because you're probably going to have to run and gun for quite a while. So everybody that's coming into this a little bit late is already aware that they're probably going to have to fight their way through. That's why you see Livid playing the lower part of that hill. Instead of just running up and over it, figure, hey, maybe there's somebody in a couple of these different positions, so try to play it a little bit safer. Lead somebody in those front couple of car, or in the front car. Try to scout out and constantly feed a telephone line of information back behind you on how you need to rotate through. Big shout out off to the left side of the screen, as you can see kills stacking up, and it's going to be Finna walking away with 7, and a tie with a lot of 5s. That's going to be Vegas, Balefrost, Sub-Zero, Hurdy-Curdy, and Uncivil. Noticing a couple of facts, shoot-to-kill team, 2 members of shoot-to-kill, presently tied at 5 apiece.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, too, very beginning, we started to make our predictions, and the teams that came out of those predictions, right? Shoot-to-kill, Radiance, Zenith, all right now near the top of this leaderboard with those kills, and that's kind of why we made those predictions. Those are the teams that have those players that we see time and time again are on the top of the leaderboard with damage dealt and with kills, and that translates into points. You get 10 points for first place, 8 for second, and or sorry, 6 for second, 5 for third, but it is going to be those kill points that can make a break for a lot of these squads, especially when it starts to get a little bit closer here. But right now, as Livid struggling a bit to drive into the zone, we can see just a bit of gatekeeping coming there from Profi. It's held up behind from the Sonics, as now we're starting to get a little clustered up.
Notice Livid's approach timed pretty close to whenever Circle 2 was going to pop, so that way they can instantly move into it. With Circle 2 popping, it is back over towards the east. Almost everybody inside, if that's no real surprise, with as centered as we saw everybody. Really, I think the only person that is not inside the safe zone right now is the tail end of the Exodus train that's running through here, and that's going to be Pat Caps. The rest of Exodus trying to cut a path, kind of slow. Venerated, and not in any rush. Pretty aware that there's probably going to be a couple of people around. I'm going to go ahead and start to scout a little bit more on foot. See what's in the area that's different direction. But I don't think he's looked back over to where Comets is at. But with the way that that hillside plays, no surprise. You can see Comets looking back this direction because they can hear the vehicles, but can't quite see them yet.
No, and Comets touch their vehicles for just a moment, but I think the noise of Exodus finishing their rotation might have masked that just a bit, so this could be something that might catch Exodus off guard. Right now, they seem to be completely unconcerned with the space to their west, and that could come up to bite them if Comets are able to catch them on the surprise here. Exodus, so 0 kills right now, and ooh.
He's in the safe zone, everybody. Took him forever, but he's finally there. He made it. The only player that was not inside the safe zone. While we have the lower rotation, there's not a lot happening down around the south, but the north is starting to get far more clustered as we've had most of the teams leave Yasnaya at this point.
Yeah, and again, oof. Oh, before we even get that far, up here in Heaven, looks like Sonics and Dodge are popping off 4v4 man. The Sonics having a little bit on the high ground of compounds, but we can see right now, I think a bit of a stalemate as they're waiting for that peaks. Both teams ready for this fight.
This just looks like I have this house, you have that house. Let's be very annoyed neighbors with each other situation. As neither one moving very aggressive. Sonics have had a quieter day than I think a lot of people were expecting. This is a very talented roster. Trimsy, Mime, Win, Profi, or H-Win, depending on how you say it. I know it's always being talked about. On the other side of this, we've got Livid looking back over towards Hard Shifts. It's going to be a Malouk tossing out, I believe, a grenade. Going to get a little bit of damage back over towards Caden. As it's kind of a dance going on, trying to stay away from what's happening. His grenade's popping down right inside of his smoke. Caden realizes, I think, that he's got a little bit of space to work with, so going to retreat back as more reinforcements are showing up for Hard Shifts.
Yeah, and Hard Shifts now coming in for that rotation. We see Lobes just start to drive in with that U, as Caden, though, still has not had a chance to heal. He's got 4 first aids, but time and safety is a little paramount right here. You don't want to just put down and immediately pop off a first aid in the middle of a fight. You've got to wait until it's safe to do so. And so Caden pulling back to this compound, try to give him just enough of a break to pop off one of those first aid kits and allow them that next rotation, because they are not in the zone going forward to that next phase.
So we asked for friendlier circles. We had an eastern-based circle, but since then, it's been pretty centered. The next one is fairly center as well, with about 4 teams not inside the safe zone. But those 4 teams are pretty influential. It's going to be Shoot to Kill that's up on the north, trying to do a wraparound, realizing it's too crowded up here. Hard Shifts trying to figure out how to make some type of push, being held out by Livid, also not inside the safe zone. And then back down to the south, it's a little bit of that skirmish that we saw going on with the Comets and Exodus making their push. Everybody else pretty comfortable at this point, in an uncomfortable situation, given how many people are stacked within about 100 meters of each other.
Yeah, and Hard Shifts now finding a good spot on the edge of the zone, still keeping an eye on Dodge here, as we saw earlier, Dodge sharing this with Sonics. Going to be a little bit late to leave, however, and this could spell trouble if they try to do this on foot. Houston Hard Shifts is going to have perfect line of sight from this compound. Malouk, I think, calling this now. Hard Shifts have decided to make a push now onto Heaven, which is the name of this compound, as they are just choosing, you know what, we're going to go for it. We need the points. We need this position. Let's just take it from them.
Well, remember we saw that this was a little bit of a bad neighborhood. They roll up. Instantly, Malouk gets dropped out. But the commitment is coming out from the Hard Shifts. Crop takes a lot of damage, has to recess back around that corner. Monty's holding the high ground. Dodge sent 2 members away from this position. So really, it's just Monty trying to hold it out, as off in the distance, you can see there's going to be Livid driving up along this, going to hear the firefight, but still going to pop off right in the building next to it. That's going to be J-Sync saying, okay, no. We've got to retreat back off, get the reses back up. Going to be Chuba also going for the position up the side. Dodge wants nothing to do with this, and they're just leaving as Livid is coming up, taking over the complex just to the right of this.
Yeah, I mean, a really unfortunate situation for Monty right now, who's stuck up here on his own. We could see just for a moment, Illusion actually helped out on this fight to get a knock-in kill in favor for the Hardshifts. But Shoot to Kill now taking a push in as well. And I think the Hardshifts realizing, you know what, this might have been a little bit of a wash. We're able to get that res off, but let's go ahead and leave it. We need to find slightly a little bit better place to be as it's getting more and more crowded. And we could just take a look at the map and see how busy it is right now up to the north.
The northern part, just around where Mansion is, remember there's all those trees in the forest and all those little dips. It looks like a lot of teams realizing that this area is so flat around Heaven. You guys know, whenever you're doing your motorcycle flips coming out of here, this is a very open terrain area. So teams are trying to give it a wide of berth as possible. And that means that this forest might become a bigger factor as teams are trying to hunker down. And it's like their last resort. But a couple of them might have to try to leave this. Now, our teams are also kind of posting up around prison, the different aspects of where we got New Circle has popped, and it's back over next to Lippo. We're finally seeing it not go center. Gonna shift back over towards the east with just a touch of Mansion still in play.
And here come the shots now from Shoot to Kill, who's finally figured out where to spot out Houston Hardships. Ooh, we see Maluk go down as well. It is not a safe place at all. And Alo is actually going to pick that up as well. Luke 12, I think, now realizing exactly who this is, taking that rotation towards it. Here we go. Alo with the send-off, trying to get another angle onto this.
Run him over. Do it, Alo. I respect. Just run right into the smokes. Yes. Yes, be violent. Gotta just jump out. There is nowhere for those guys to go. Alo just takes him apart. I really wish we saw a body bounce away getting hit by the car, but don't forget, we do have a couple of members still hiding out in this general vicinity, as one of the members of Dodge and one of the members of Livid are pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, Monty's still in that compound. He hasn't had a chance to leave just yet. The rest of his team has already moved on without him, and I think maybe a little bit of hesitation and panic could spell trouble here, as he could get caught off guard now from Shoot to Kill. Livid's still waiting for him as well, as Fudge is just beyond that space. Meanwhile, it looks like Alo already thinking about that next zone. And that might get a break here, but Monty's going to have to start moving very quickly. Nope. Well, I think Alo is just coming to investigate what's left. And he's going to push right here on the Livid.
Looks like he's trying to get maybe a little bit of information, use the high ground out. Yeah, spot out, see if anybody's rotating through. Does spot off a team, but there are two solos right next to him, so has to be very cautious. They're assuming that, hey, we already took out the team that's here, so it should be perfectly fine. And you can see Livid's like, no, I want nothing to do with this. They gun it out of there. Free me, please. Pops up right next to Invasion, sprays him down and takes him out very quickly, as all these, we still have a couple of members hanging out around the forest, but they're going to have to move. It's a pretty packed circle with 48 still alive.
Yeah, I mean, Hella still up for Fabled. Free me, please. Continuing on that push, picking up 4 kills. We saw them do a little bit of damage there onto Dodge earlier, so able to knock and take out a player from the side. Hella is going to fall down to Icy Flex. Free me, please, propping another one of those nades. All that's left is Supernova up. He's still going to take some damage here. Illusion, not quite in the zone, needs to clear Fabled off their backside, whilst the blue continues to creep in closer and closer. You don't want to leave an enemy behind you as you push into the zone, and as patient as they're playing right now racking up 5 kills. That's still waiting for Supernova to emerge, as we can see right now. Ranger watching the fence, knowing he's going to have to push here. Supernova taking up that heal, sticking in the blue a little bit longer. This is phase 4. He's not going to be able to survive for much longer here, but Illusion, they've got every angle on this compound.
Who would have thought the 3-man gatekeeping team will take down the solo trapped in the blue? I mean, if he does manage to get a down out of this, I will be very impressed. I like this. Tries to go ahead and go for a play inside the vehicle, but takes a couple of shots to the head as he goes. Gonna go ahead and hop inside the vehicle, but now gonna have to be very, very cautious as he has taken a ton of blue damage. He does go down to it. Fabled gets eliminated, and now the push comes out. Here's the issue. Remember how I said there's a touch of Mansion still in play? Well, a lot of teams decided that they wanted Mansion, so that's going to be Livid making the push over there. Dodge, we've got Sonics just on the outside of it, and naturally Illusion that we just saw getting caught in that fight a second ago. Only issue is whenever the New Circle, New Circle has popped, and it is not inside the safe zone, so all of these teams now need to detangle themselves and find somewhere to go in a very wide open and flat circle.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of players in one corner here. 4 different teams, many of which are still up at 4 stack. We can see right now Sonic's up 4 players, but still without any kills. And right now, I want to say best position in the zone. They're just inside the edge. They've got line of sight, taking shots right now at Livid as Livid tries to get a rotation in. That's going to give just enough distraction to let Illusion creep in a bit closer. It is Dodge who's in the worst position right now as they are just sandwiched here. Ooh, I
like this coming out from Illusion. They're playing this aggressive. They hear the firefight, know them. Nobody's probably watching this angle. Sneak up, go ahead and get to a point where you can potentially breach the building if necessary. Listen for the firefight and just try to pop up at the worst opportune time for the team that's right on top of them. Monty jumps out of the complex and look at Illusion playing back behind this. Easy pickup coming out from them. They should be able to flush that, no problem. Now it's just being involved in the fight. They have shown themselves, and Sonics have a very good sightline back over towards this. Free Me Please is playing on the outside. Gonna have to be very cautious on his approach, but you can see every single building has got a friend inside of it. But luckily, you can see Icy Flex come up as a friend for his teammate. On Illusion, stepping now over. Go ahead and pick up that flush. Run back over. Maybe get your teammate. Gotta make sure it's safe first, but keep steering the firefight going on with the Sonics. Finna playing very low onto this. Icy Flex continuing his push up, but is gonna get spotted out, and that's gonna be Illusion getting eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, just didn't have the information on Finna right there in front of him. There's just too noise going up a little bit higher from the Sonics, who've got the high ground in all of this. They're only able to pick up 1 kill, however, so Illusion are going to go out early, aren't going to pick up any placement points, but some much-needed kills for a little bit of a climb on the leaderboard. Meanwhile, there goes Dodge, as they're going to fall out, and Sonics only at 2 kills, but still sign on Livid. We can see Profi continuing to take peeks. They need to be aware of the fact that as this circle closes and closes in now, Livid's got no cover. They've got nowhere to go. They're going to have to rotate out in the open, and I think they're going to try and cut him off here.
Do it. This is what we wanted to see a lot more of Sonics. This is a very good squad whenever they decide to start going after a couple of kills. Separation come out. Look at Shrimsy, full on confidence, running back around that rock. Sees the firefight that's going on between Elusive and Livid. Wants to come in and third party it because they know this is a perfect opportunity to pick up a couple more points. Nobody would be expecting. It's like a wide open field. There's not going to be anybody approaching from there. Nope, it's going to be the Sonics walking up, picking up at least 1 kill point as they retreat back off that. Now the problem is they've revealed themselves, and Zenith has a good sightline back over towards him. Profi, good awareness, realizes it, drops down back behind the tree. Looks like Wynn's going to run back over here with the vehicle and try to use it to provide a little bit of cover, maybe to go for a res, but no, it looks like this is starting to turn pretty bad. He's now the last one up. What's the call gonna be? He's in the open, nowhere to go. Sometimes you just gotta send it with a wing and a prayer, and that looks like where he's going. He's got Elusive on one side of him, does manage to juke away from it. Vehicle's on fire, nowhere to go, tries to jump out and gets taken down.
I mean, there's really nowhere to go. As we said just before that push, this is a very wide open area to the west, and wide open may seemed in their favor to the start, but as they push further and further into that area, caught off guard as well now by Zenith, and Elusive, who was able to survive that just a bit longer. We can take a look now at the map and see how many teams are pushing into the west. Now it's 303 coming in to investigate and trying to see what they can pick off of this. And, you know, all of them are going to have to move in. Now, this is a newer area to Erangel 2.0, which is relatively a new addition to the esports scene. With that, of course, there's additional coverage. There's some extra compounds, as we can see right now. Team Clueless and Elusive pushing into that, and that's going to let them stay out here just a little bit longer, but even still, they've got to be mindful of Zenith here, which is inside the zone.
T-Rich goes down to the blue zone. 303 is trying to figure out the best approach to get out of a very bad situation. Zenith, not on a lot of kills, but have had a lot of control on what's going on around them. They've been taking long-range shots at anybody that tries to approach onto them and really giving themselves a lot of space to work with. They do set their sights back over towards Radiance. They feel like they have the numbers advantage for this. Opts into leaving a complex inside of the zone and says, nope, let's go ahead and play this in a way that nobody's going to expect. Radiance is taking shots back over towards Exodus, and they could pop up right up on top of him. Look at this play come out. Roth gets the shots back over onto one. Now looking back out from where Waldo's at, they do spot him, and there you go. Radiance gets eliminated in 8.
I think Radiant's letting their guard out just a little bit. Tunnel visioned onto Exodus, thinking, you know what, Zenith's on the other side of the circle. We've got some time, finish off Exodus, and we'll be good. But what they weren't expecting was this push from Zenith Esports. Now racked up 3 kills and committing to this fight against Exodus, as we're down to 6 teams, 17 players left alive. Just these 2 teams here off to the east. Meanwhile, it looks like Comets have been found out to the south, and we're down to just 5 squads as Zenith continuing to take this push onto Exodus. I think right now, Zenith, most information for this zone as we're about to come to the end of Phase 6, going into Phase 7. Depending on where the circle goes, they could really be the king of it here.
Good spot out back over towards the res. Zenith continuing their push. We've seen them information collect. You called it out a second ago, Clover. These guys wait until they feel they can make the move, and then they play it aggressive. Starting to get more and more control out. You can see Exodus back on their back foot right now, playing inside of a shack. Has to be very careful as Zenith doesn't even care what is going on. They want to play this aggressive, stepping up, looking back over towards Vegas. Molotov's now starting to come out. Not a lot of territory for Vegas to work with. We know he's got some aim, but he is in a very disadvantaged fight. Another set of Molotovs comes through. Vegas has to leave shack, and there we go. Exodus now down and out in 5th. Another team to follow back behind. That's going to go down, and there are 3 teams remaining as Clueless goes out 10 alive.
Yeah, Elusive, Oath, and Zenith Esports still up. Zenith right now, though, the story to tell with 6 kills. This is the team that I was very excited about. Continuing to see that here is, looks like Snakers has spotted out Fizzle, and that is going to be an insta-death with the vehicle explosion. You hate to see it, but you love to see it.
I love to see it. I love to see the vehicle explosions. All right, so Oath and Zenith, both on opposite sides of the circle. I guess parts of the circle is a better way to say it. Zenith up towards the north, Oath back down towards the south. And really, it's our boy Jay All Day that's going to have to try to make a play, but man, there is nowhere to go. He gets spotted out. So we are down to a 3v4. Oath has a hillside that they're trying to make some plays around with some rocks, but Zenith, being very confident, very aggressive, has really cleared out all of the territory around him and should have a very good idea on where Oath is. And yeah, you can see they're starting to pick the fights and trying to see if they can condense down. Look at the circle control coming out from Zenith versus Oath. Oath is all clustered down into the exact same spot. That gives Zenith so many more firing lines to work with.
Yeah, I mean, Oath, as I was really worried was going to get caught with this road, but they were very quick to get across the street. They not only share the high ground with Zenith Esports, we can see right now Wolf going a little bit wide, continuing to use these rocks and trees for coverage. He does have a damaged helmet, though, so a couple more hits, and that is going to be gone. But if they can just prevent Zenith from mowing through and taking full control, when we see these later circles, these teams will start to spread wide, come through, and try to hold every angle for that next zone. As we've got about 10 seconds till we go to Phase 8, and depending on where that circle goes, could spell trouble. But right now, Zenith has majority control over this existing circle, and I think might have a little stronger control against Oath, as we see Roth right now with line of sight as well. And oof, there's the circle. It's going to Zenith.
Zenith has the high ground. They have the information. They have the numbers. They're sitting at 8 kills right now. Really, it's going to take some aim coming out from Oath, keeping an eye on where potential flanks from, seeing if Zenith maybe gets a little bit too comfortable, a little bit too aggressive, trying to find that right moment to capitalize. But right now, the defensive line coming out from Zenith is so strong. Leda on one end of it, and you can see Mystery on the other. They're just holding down Oath in place, and before too much longer, the blue is going to start doing all the work that Zenith needs to do back over towards Oath. Finally, some shots starting to connect, forcing a little bit of movement out from Zenith. Snakers is going to try to take this opportunity, but don't forget about Leda playing that low ground. Smokes are out. He does hit a shot back over towards Snakers, and now Snakers is going to have to play this a little bit more defensive, but does at least manage to get a touch of a foothold inside of this. We do have Wolf playing back behind, throwing down the utility for Balefrost, seeing if there's some type of approach that he can find. Snakers does get spotted out. Now it's turning into a Herculean task for Oath. They are outnumbered 2-1, looking on 2 different angles. Wolf trying to connect with some shots, not going to find enough to really give him the control that he so desperately needs right now. Balefrost, Wolf, what angles do they have as Zenith continues to push forward? Actually moving into a gatekeeping position. Wolf goes down, and now it's all on to Balefrost. He's been spotted, and he is no longer for this world. That's going to be 11 kills for Zenith Esports and a very solid round win.